Welcome, both new and returning Aries, to my channel Zodiac Talks Tarot. Today we step straight into the September 2025 Love Tarot reading, and let me warn you, it's not a gentle stroll through a garden but more like walking into a carnival funhouse where every mirror throws back a different version of yourself. Some of those reflections will make you feel like a champion, others will stretch your flaws until you wonder if the universe is mocking you, and a few may even frighten you. Yet beneath all of this distortion lies a clear message: the cosmos is speaking, and it is speaking directly to you. It doesn't whisper, it doesn't leave vague hints. Instead, it shouts, repeats, and throws symbols in your face. That might feel excessive, but remember you're Aries, and subtlety is about as effective on you as a feather trying to stop a wildfire. This month the universe is tossing roses into your path and flashing the number 4 so often it feels like a neon billboard. And before you shrug, yes, I know you don't usually stop to count anything unless it's reps at the gym or zeros on a paycheck, this pattern is worth paying attention to. 4 represents foundation, stability, and balance. These are things you secretly crave but often forget in your sprint toward the next challenge. It is as though the universe is saying, slow down, Aries, build the structure before you light the fire. If you're honest with yourself, you know that the thrill of adventure is sweeter when it rests on something solid. So as we open this reading, let's breathe together. This isn't going to be a sugary fortune cookie prediction or a dreamy lullaby that promises everything will fall into place without effort. Instead, think of it as a serious yet playful conversation between your restless Aries soul and the timeless patterns of the sky. I'll approach it with the eye of a researcher, the craft of a storyteller, and the quiet wisdom of Buddhist teaching. And if a little humor slips in along the way, well, that's just to keep you awake, because even Aries needs to laugh at themselves while chasing destiny. Let us begin with the obvious: the number 4 is stalking you, Aries. It shows up in your cards, in your pre-shuffles, even in the odd arithmetic of messages that somehow break down to 4. If numbers could tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, look over here, the 4s would be doing exactly that. And while many people dismiss 4 as an unremarkable, almost utilitarian number, think the square, the box, the rigid frame, tarot paints it differently. 4 is the scaffolding of existence. It is the bones of the house, the legs of the table, the ground that steadies the fire of your restless dance. And here's the truth you may not like to hear: you need that stability more than you want to admit. From a psychological perspective, 4s operate like a speed bump on a highway. They remind us that passion, no matter how exhilarating, burns itself out if not grounded. You've lived this cycle countless times. Sprint ahead at 190 miles per hour, fueled by inspiration and caffeine, only to crash spectacularly when the reward doesn't arrive on your timetable. That pattern isn't evidence of failure, but of poor alignment between cosmic timing and your own impatient clock. The 4s ask you pointedly, what foundation are you building so that your magnificent energy stops leaking through the cracks? Because without a structure, Aries, your passion becomes like a wildfire that scorches rather than sustains. And then there are the roses. Yes, roses again, almost obnoxiously insistent. They appear on fabrics, in the corner of movies, in your dreams, perhaps even tucked into the random ad you scroll past at midnight. Roses are beauty made visible, but they are also thorns sharpened by reality. They symbolize devotion, love, and sacrifice, while reminding us that attachment always carries risk. The deeper question for you, Aries, is whether you are chasing beauty while ignoring the thorns, or worse, whether fear of the thorns keeps you from touching the flower at all. It is the classic dilemma: do you embrace love with its inevitable pain, or do you remain guarded, safe, and ultimately unfulfilled? Now here is where the reading takes a dramatic turn. This isn't just a story about repetitive numbers and flowers. The cards hint at something far more mysterious: a message trying to break through. Some of you might smirk and think, "Oh, my ex is about to text me." That's one possibility, sure, but what if it's greater than that? What if the cosmos itself, or perhaps a loved one who has long since passed, is trying to whisper through synchronicities? The timing, the roses, the stubborn recurrence of fours, these are not coincidences. In Buddhist philosophy, signs are rarely delivered with fireworks and a marching band. Instead, they arrive like waves, repeating gently until the stubborn human heart finally listens. Aries, and let's be honest here, your stubbornness could rival the hardest rock in a Zen garden. But even you cannot deny the strangeness of roses appearing where they shouldn't, or fours flickering across the clock face whenever you glance up. The universe doesn't shout, it repeats. And when it repeats this often, it's not asking politely, it's insisting. Here's the most astonishing possibility: some of you may be receiving a kind of apology from beyond. Not in the Hallmark card sense, not a ghost scribbling sorry on your bathroom mirror, but in the form of old wounds softening, patterns dissolving, and peace seeping in where there was once turmoil. This is not about romantic love alone, but about the larger, deeper love that stretches across lifetimes. It is the acknowledgement of your suffering, the recognition that what hurt you need not define you forever. Humor me for a moment: if the universe did send you a text, it would probably look something like this: "Dear Aries, I know patience isn't your strong suit. Sorry about that. Here's a rose. Try not to ignore it. Love, the cosmos." And honestly, that might be the most accurate description of your September. The fours are your foundation, the roses are your reminder of beauty and risk, and the message is clear: slow down, listen, heal, and let the structure rise beneath your fire. Because even the fiercest flame needs something steady to burn upon. Aries, let's circle back to you, because at the heart of this reading is your re-entry into what I call magician energy. In tarot, the magician is not a stage trickster pulling rabbits out of hats, but the archetype of transformation, the one who can turn raw fire into form, desire into reality, vision into something you can touch. And you, Aries, are being invited once again to stand in that role. But here's the cautionary note: the magician isn't just about power, it's about balance. Your challenge is not whether you have the spark you always do. The question is whether you can sustain it without burning yourself out. This is where psychology enters the conversation. We live in a society wired for instant gratification. Scroll, swipe, binge, reward. The brain gets used to quick dopamine hits, and suddenly the long game feels unbearable. But deep creation, the kind of relationship, career, or life you truly crave, does not operate on dopamine timelines. It runs on patience, repetition, and faith that your efforts accumulate even when you cannot yet see the results. The Aries impulse is to sprint toward the finish line, but this season asks you to become a marathoner. Think less fireworks, more foundation. Light the spark, yes, but also lay the bricks. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither is the love story or the future you desire. Now, let's address the relationship question, because I know some of you are here for the tea. The cards for your other person show a knot of confusion and indecision. The Two of Voices speaks of blocked communication, someone stuck between choices, torn between reaching out and retreating. It's as if they are awakening to something but still tangled in their own hesitation. From my years of studying both astrology and human behavior, I'll tell you this: Aries has a way of attracting people who are mesmerized by your fire but also paralyzed by it. They love watching you blaze, but when faced with the full force of your intensity, they freeze. This isn't about you being too much that old, tired accusation. It's about them not knowing how to rise and match your flame. So what do? You watch for signs beyond words. Nonverbal gestures, synchronicities, sudden memories that feel like they arrived from nowhere. Maybe it's the unexpected appearance of roses again, or the number sequences that keep nudging you. That could be your person's energy brushing against yours, even if their mouth refuses to cooperate. In a sense, their silence may be louder than words if you know how to listen. The final and perhaps most powerful theme in this spread is the breaking free of toxic cycles. Addiction, codependence, unhealthy habits, they've all lingered like gray fog, limiting movement, sapping joy. The cards suggest a release, a stepping into abundance, a renewal. And this isn't confined to the realm of romance. It might be your own personal cycle, your partner's, or even something within your family system. Either way, the message is the same: the chains are loosening, and freedom is within reach. Here's where the Buddhist lens offers wisdom. Suffering, in many teachings, arises not from the pain itself but from clinging to substances, to approval, to drama, to the endless scroll of stimulation that numbs rather than nourishes. Aries, you're being shown the doorway out of that cycle. The lesson is learning to breathe freely, to live without carrying someone else's chaos strapped to your back. You are not here to be the pack mule for another person's addictions. Compassion is noble, but self-erasure is not. And make no mistake, for some of you, this breaking free is not just symbolic but life-saving. Escaping that toxic loop could mean your survival, or the survival of someone close to you. The spread declares, the cycle ends here. Aries, your flame is not meant to burn in a fog of dependency. It is meant to blaze with clarity, with purpose, with freedom. So as you step back into the magician's role this September, remember this: true mastery is not about how fast you can conjure fire. It is about whether you can balance fire with form, passion with patience, and compassion with boundaries. That's when the magic really begins. When the Sisterhood of the Rose card surfaced, I will admit, even after years of studying patterns in both the stars and the psyche, I felt a shiver. This card is not just about beauty in the superficial sense. It speaks of devotion, the quiet yet unshakable energy of the priestess, the mystic, the teacher. It reminds us that there have always been lineages of souls carrying light through the dark corridors of history. And Aries, though you may scoff at the idea of belonging to any lineage other than my own fiery path, this is precisely where you belong. Your fire, at times wild and reckless, is itself part of this continuum. You are not here by accident, nor are your impulses meaningless. You are part of something older, deeper, and larger than yourself. This is where the notion of the chosen ones enters, not as a superiority badge, but as a reminder of responsibility. To be chosen does not mean to be crowned king or queen while others bow at your feet. It means you have been entrusted with a flame the world desperately needs. The Year of Triumph 2025 is not a coronation parade. It is a calling, a chance to use your gifts not only for personal gain but also to heal, to inspire, to create beauty from rubble. Think of the world as a burned-out field. Many people mourn the ash, but Aries sees the potential for new life. That is your gift, not arranging roses in neat vases but becoming the wildfire itself. Your beauty is raw, terrifying, and liberating. It clears what is stagnant so that growth can emerge. You don't need lace curtains and soft petals to prove your worth. Your power is in transformation. Now, before this all becomes too grand and heavy, let us move toward the practical, because even mystics need daily habits. The reading closes with the simplest, yet perhaps the hardest advice for Aries: detox. Not a juice cleanse or a yoga retreat, but a detox from noise. Turn off the news. Step back from the infinite scroll of social media. The truth is, you cannot hear roses whisper if your ears are crammed with Twitter debates and the anxious hum of headlines. This is not just spiritual fluff, research in psychology confirms it. Constant exposure to news raises cortisol levels, locks the brain into fight or flight, and narrows our field of vision until we see only threats and no possibilities. Aries, you thrive on possibility. Your soul withers in confinement. To regain your fire, you must give yourself a reset. Take 2 days. No news feeds. Minimal screens. Step outside, breathe in the air, listen to the silence that is not empty but alive with signals you usually miss. That is where the real messages will find you. In Buddhism, there is a teaching that silence is not the absence of sound but the presence of wisdom. For you, Aries, that wisdom comes when you dare to step out of the stream of noise and allow the deeper current to catch your attention. Now, because you'd explode if I stayed too serious for too long, let's inject a little humor. Aries, you are the sign most likely to yell at your microwave for being too slow, as though 30 seconds of heating should take only 15 if the machine respected your urgency. You are also the sign most likely to text your crush at 3 a.m. with the oh-so-subtle line, "So, are we doing this or what?" fueled not by romance but by the third espresso shot you swore you didn't need. When I tell you to be patient, I know I am asking you to perform a miracle. But miracles, ironically, are what you do best. You just don't call them miracles, you call them Tuesday. And so we return to the bigger picture. September 2025 is not simply another month on the calendar. It is a coded message in a bottle. A whisper of roses. A parade of fours. A reminder that your foundation matters as much as your fire. You are being asked to notice beauty and to contribute to it, to balance your trademark passion with patience, to listen for messages not just from others but from your higher self. Step fully into your role as one of the chosen ones, not because you demanded recognition, but because the world needs what only you can bring. This, after all, is the year of triumph 2025. But triumph will not be found in reckless sprints or one-night bursts of fire. It will come through steady creation, through balanced passion, and through your willingness to stop, listen, and recognize the signs that roses and numbers are pointing toward. The unexpected apology, the synchronistic appearance of 4, the quiet moments that open up into revelations, these are not trivial details. They are part of your map. So watch carefully, Aries. Watch for the roses, for the fours, for the strange sense that the universe is not just talking at you but speaking with you. When the signs arrive, do not run past them in your usual rush. Pause. Let them root. Let them guide. That is where the triumph begins. And that, Aries, is your September 2025 love reading. Now it is your turn. Tell me in the comments where the roses and the fours appear in your life. I want to hear how these synchronicities unfold for you, because your story is not only yours. It is part of a much larger fire that connects us all. Aries, remember, life isn't just about sprinting to the finish, it's about savoring the fire you carry and laughing when the microwave feels too slow. Breathe, enjoy, and trust the journey. If this resonated, like, share, and subscribe to Zodiac Talks Tarot so we can keep exploring together.